Everyone knows Jannik Sinner for probably being the best baseliner, being rock solid from the back of the court. But what a lot of players don't actually realise about Sinner is how effective and efficient he is up at the net. He's able to really use his baseline game to build the rally and then transition up to the net, and does a really clinical job of finishing points up at the net. He's got a high percentage of points won up at the net, and that's a key part of his game for being dominant across all surfaces. On grass courts, he's able to use that big serve, big forehand, and finish up at the net, and it's the same on the clay court. He can build the rallies, wait for his opportunity, and then close that net down, ending points on his terms. So in this video, we're going to get into Jannik Sinner's volleys and have a look at why his volleys are so effective, and if there's anything you can take away from this video. Let's get into it. So one of the first things I want you to have a look at is Jannik Sinner's split step when he does his volleys. After he makes contact with the ball, he always gets back and gets a little quick split step moving forward, and that just helps transition his body weight and momentum forward into the shot. And that's a really crucial part of staying balanced and being able to react very quickly for your volleys. So if you're a club player trying to improve your volleys, you've got to make sure you're maintaining that low center of gravity, that wide base, and timing the split step just at the right time when your opponent is about to make contact, so that you can position yourself effectively for the volley. So I want you to think about having a racket's length distance between your feet, and you can also picture just making sure your feet are just slightly more than shoulder width apart, and that's going to help maintain that low center of gravity, and you're going to react much better for your volleys. So when we look at his racket preparation position, this is a really interesting one, okay? So a lot of coaches will tell you to keep that racket head up, right? And the reason Sinner doesn't actually do that, you can see that he actually has the tip of the racket pointing forward at the beginning, okay? And this is actually quite interesting, because if you imagine you've got your racket upright, more in a vertical sort of position, well, what happens if the ball comes down low to your feet, right? That's going to take a little bit extra time to get that racket head down. So by positioning that racket head just pointing straight, and also keeping the racket head under your shoulder height, right? It's actually sort of around belly button height. That is optimal position to be able to react for a ball that's high on your backhand or low down to your feet, all right? So that's a really key takeaway when you look at Sinner. So this backhand volley we're going to look at, it comes in fast to his left hip, all right? And I want you to just look how he reacts. So he does the split step, feet are both in the air, and as he lands, he sees this volley is going to be almost in at his body, and he keeps that left hand on the throat of the racket, okay? And he keeps a nice bend in this elbow, right? So you've got to have a bend in these elbows. The left hand is going to help aid that racket on the backswing, but the real key on the backhand volley when it comes in fast to you is to not let the strings point to the side. You need to make sure you're maintaining the strings facing your opponent, okay? Too many players at the club level and let their racket face turn out to the side, and that's when they hit the volley late. So you can see that he has a really compact backswing on this one, and he turns his shoulders, right? So he gets a little bit slightly side on with the shoulders, and there's a really short take back, all right? He's going to have a slight extension with his forearm into this one. So you can see his elbow goes from being bent to slightly straightening out. And this is a real key, okay? So as he makes contact, you can see the racket head is slightly below the net, right? And this is a real tip here. No matter what volley you get, right? Billie Jean King actually told me this at Wimbledon, okay? And you need to make sure no matter what volley you get, even if it's low, you're going to finish with the racket head back up high, okay, above the height of the net. So he's made contact here, but he's going to actually bring this racket head back up above the net height, right? You'll see. So that's where he's going to finish on the follow through. He comes back to that position. So too many club players make contact on a backhand volley and they just let the wrist, in this position, they let the tip of the racket just fall here, right? And then that's when they either hit long or it's not stable and they just put this ball straight in the net. So you've got to have a firm wrist here, really firm wrist to not let the racket get pushed back. But then you need to use that forward momentum to bring the racket head up above the height of the net, all right? If I draw a green line here, you have to make sure you're bringing it up, and that's going to help you lift that ball. All right, so now you'll see he's back in the ready position, okay? He's got the tip of the racket facing forward, right? He's not got the tip of the racket facing up, because what if that ball comes in fast to his feet? He has to be able to be in a central position to react for all different volleys, all right? And the other thing is, a singles player's volley is slightly different to the doubles player's volleys, but that's another video. They definitely have a slight different technique on their volleys. So the next thing is, you're going to see that this is a forehand volley. So the first thing he's going to do is, look how he keeps that left hand slightly on the throat of the racket. He's going to release it slightly earlier for a forehand volley, right? So he's done his split step. Notice how still he keeps his head, right? His head is really still, and he's going to do a little bit of a shoulder unit turn here, okay? So you can see he's done a slight turn with the shoulders, just a little bit, 45-degree angle. And this is the real key, right, on a forehand volley, is the wrist position. The arm's not going to go too far back, but he's just going to fold from the wrist, all right? So have a look. He just does a really subtle fold in the wrist. He didn't take the racket back. He just folded the wrist. He's keeping the strings out at the target, all right? That's a real key here. He's a real pro on the volleys. Like he's done a lot of really good work here. Notice how he's getting down low for this ball. The ball's dropping below the height of the net. So he's made contact down here. Notice how he's got a little bit more of an extension on the forehand volley. And he's in that continental grip. But this is where he's made contact. So this is what I'm saying. He's made contact here, right? But he's not going to drop the racket down. Too many club players let this racket drop in that position. Watch how he's going to bring the racket up after contact, right? And notice how there's a quick... You've got to think, if the ball's this low, what do we need to do? We need to actually angle the racket face so we can slightly come under the ball, right? So he's going to actually just turn the wrist a little bit facing up to get that ball going above the height of the net. But now look at the follow through. He's not dropping the racket. He's going to bring the racket above the height of the net. All right. And that is probably the biggest takeaway tip that you can get. All right. Billie Jean King actually told me this in person when I spoke to her at Wimbledon. She said this is the best tip you can get on the volley. And clearly you can see that the pros do this. Right. So that's a real key. No matter what volley you get, make sure you're finishing the follow through above the height of the net. All right, so now this is a slightly higher forehand volley, okay? So he's got that bend in the elbow. He's using that left arm to come out to the side as well for his balance. He's bending those knees, got a low center of gravity, the head's very still, but he's folding from the wrist and he's keeping the strings facing the ball. He doesn't let the strings or the hand face to the side because that's when you can catch the ball late, right? So now the racket is above, the racket head is above his shoulder here, right? The racket head is above his shoulder. He's receiving a slightly higher volley, right? But let's have a look where he finishes. So he's going to go down to contact. He's making contact still above the height of the net. And I'm going to show you where he's going to finish. So he drops under a little bit. He's putting a little bit of backspin, but then the follow through comes straight back up. So it's almost like he's going down. Let's just draw an arrow. He's going down and then it's coming back up. All right. So that's a real key. And then he's straight back into the ready position. Left hand connects straight back on the racket and then straight away back into the wide base, maintaining that wide base balance. And there you go. All right, so let's just have a look at a few more. So high one, that one, it was slightly slower, right? So he actually took a little bit of a backswing here. When you have time to take a bit of a backswing, that's when you have to give the ball a little bit of a punch and create some pace, okay? But if the ball's coming really slow, really quick at you, you just fold from the wrist, show the strings at the ball, and just almost block it back, all right? Here's another low one, so have a look at this low. Oh wait, that was the end of the video. So let's see if we can find a low one. Yeah, so if the ball's slightly higher, you've got to really jab it through, all right? So hope you guys enjoyed this video. Sorry I couldn't get the last one. If you liked any of these tips, give me a like and subscribe. If you want your own volleys analyzed by me, you can get a free taster analysis, and I'll give you some great tips to implement straight away into your game. Just film yourself playing, send it over to me via my coaching app for free, and I'll get that back to you straight away. So thanks again, and I'll see you on the next video. Take care.